Hello, good morning everyone, and welcome to today's live Zoo to You. My name is Katie and I am an educator here at the Stone Zoo. And today we are going to be joining our eastern box turtles, Phoenix and Donatella, on a little forage feed out in the zoo. If you have any questions about them throughout our chat today, please feel free to ask them in the comment section, and we will do our very best to answer them during our video. So I have Phoenix in my hands here. We can get a nice close-up of her. And we also have Donatella out with us, and Donatella, we believe, just got spooked by our rowdy gibbons. So she is showing off right now the reason why box turtles are called box turtles. So they can completely box themselves in their shell by flipping a hinge on their plastron. And their plastron is the under part of their shell that protects their belly. So by flipping this hinge, they can totally close the front of their shell, essentially boxing themselves in. So we'll give Donatella a little bit of time to see if she feels a little bit more comfortable and would like to come out and join us. But in the meantime, we are going to be giving Phoenix some exercise and giving her some of her favorite treats, which are mealworms. Turtles are omnivores, eating both plants and meat, and she is completely ignoring the mealworms and is trying to snack on some fallen leaves instead. So since I don't know what those leaves are, I want to make sure she steers away from those and is snacking on the food that I'm providing her. So here at the zoo, Phoenix and Donatella get a nice hearty salad every day with greens, carrots, and zucchini. And then they'll also get insects like mealworms and crickets, and I can hear our whooping cranes joining us. So this is a nice special treat for them, and it's really great for her to get out and get some sun and some exercise early this morning before it gets too hot. We can actually hear her. We'll see if she wants another worm. So turtles and tortoises get a reputation for being pretty slow, but you'll see Phoenix, when she spies something she would like to snack on, she can move pretty quickly. So they are, a lot faster than people give them credit for, but having to carry around that heavy shell does slow them down quite a bit. And eastern box turtles are a local species to us here in Massachusetts, and they're actually a threatened species within our state. So that means that they are currently threatened with becoming an endangered species, and their population is declining. One of their biggest threats right now is actually collisions with cars, just because eastern box turtles are pretty small. Phoenix is fully grown, and I'll kind of use my hand as a comparison here so we can see how big she is. Around the size of an adult hand, and that's as big as box turtles get. So they're pretty small. They don't move super quickly, so crossing roads as we fragment their habitat is a pretty big threat for them. So one thing that you can do if you do see a turtle trying to cross the road, first make sure that it's safe for you to get out of your car and help them. And then you always want to help the turtle cross in the direction that they're already traveling in. Because if you turn them around, they know where they're going, and they're just going to try to turn themselves around again and try to cross the road again. And here at Zoo New England, our grassroots wildlife department actually helps to track eastern box turtles and to monitor their populations, which is a really great thing that's helping our native species here at the zoo. And one question we commonly get about Phoenix is asking about this discoloration on her shell. You might see that she has a pretty big yellow patch on her carapace, and the carapace is the outer part of their shell that covers their back. And that's because Phoenix has a pretty unique story of how she came to us here at Stone Zoo. So Phoenix and Donatella were both rescues, and Phoenix was rescued from a forest fire. So that fire did damage parts of her shell. It also made it so her shell does not fully cover her back legs, meaning that she would be really vulnerable to predators. She would not be able to completely hide inside of her shell, and she would be vulnerable to a predator attack. So because of that, Phoenix lives with us here at the Stone Zoo, where she does not have to worry about any predators. She gets wonderful veterinary care, and she also gets a nutritious diet made for her every day. And it looks like Donatella is possibly coming out to join us. I see she's poked her head out. We'll see if she spies some worms and wants to come out as well.
So Katie, going back for a second to what you were saying about if you spot a turtle in the road, we had a question confirming so it's okay to pick them up.
It is. You do need to be careful here in New England about snapping turtles. Snapping turtles are going to be much larger in size. They're going to have a really big beak and usually a pretty long tail as well. If you're unsure if this is a snapping turtle or another species, it's best to call your local animal control to see if they can come out and help you. Snapping turtles do have a pretty bad bite, which is how they get that name snapping turtle. So that's just the one thing I would warn against. It is okay to pick them up and move them. It is not okay to keep them as a pet. So we'll see if Donatella wants to come out. So Donatella is also a rescued box turtle, and she was, we suspect, hit by something like a lawnmower. So while she can tuck her head and her arms into her shell like we saw earlier, she's unable to fully bring in her back legs. So her back legs do stick out of her shell, much like Phoenix's. It's a little bit harder for her to get around because of that, and she's not able to fully hide in her shell. So she's also here at the Stone Zoo. And because Phoenix and Donatella are rescues from the wild, we know that they are adults. They're fully grown, but we don't know exactly how old they are. They are probably somewhere between 20 and 50 years old, but eastern box turtles can live up to 100 years. So they could have very long lives ahead of them. We'll see if Phoenix wants to find some more worms. Looks like Donatella is still warming up to it, but Phoenix is on the move. Oh, worm is spotted. So this is a really good form of enrichment for our turtles. Enrichment can look really different at the zoo depending on what species we're enriching. So something like a puzzle feeder might not be appropriate for our turtles. So instead, we want to replicate how they would be eating in their natural environment. And this is something that they would spend a lot of their time doing, searching for different invertebrates like worms and slugs and bugs. So we want to do the same thing for them here and provide them opportunities to use those pretty honed in hunting skills. A lot of times people don't associate turtles as being good hunters, but they are really good. You know, they don't have the best eyesight or depth perception, but they definitely use what they have to find their food. Nice job, Donatella. So a lot of times people also ask how we can tell the difference between males and females. And with box turtles, it's actually really easy. All you have to do is look at their eyes. So females will have more of a goldeny amber eye color, and males will have bright fire truck red eyes. So it's really easy to tell the difference just by looking at their eyes. And do we have any questions that I can answer about them?
Can you remind us, Susan asked where they can be found.
Eastern box turtles are found throughout the east coast of the U.S. They are a threatened species here in Massachusetts, so their population is dwindling, but I believe they can be found almost all the way down the eastern coast of the U.S.
And most mostly in lake areas or swampland?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So even though they are turtles, they are going to act and live similar to a tortoise. So most of the time, turtles are going to be spending part of their lives in water. They're semi-aquatic, or if you think of sea turtles that spend almost all the time in the water, almost fully aquatic, and those turtles are going to have webbed toes or flippers to help them get around. And most of the time, they'll also have a pretty flattened carapace to just make them more streamlined through the water. But looking at Phoenix and Donatella, you'll see that their carapace is more domed. It goes higher up, just like a tortoise. And if we get a good look, I'll let her catch her worm first. But if we get a good look at their hands and feet, they don't have any webbing between their toes. They actually have claws for digging. So these turtles are adapted for life on land, very similar to a tortoise. So you would not find them in a wetland or a swamp. Instead, you're going to find them in areas with drier, sandier soil where they can dig and look for bugs and things like that. They're commonly nesting on roadsides as well. So you would not find them swimming in the water here in New England.
Okay. We'll do two more and I'll just group them together. One was how old are they? And the other is how did they get their names?
Oh, good question. So we don't know how old they are. They are fully grown adults, so they're probably around 20 or 30 years old. But since they were rescued, we don't have a definite age on them. You can gather some information about their age by looking at their scutes. So their scutes are these bigger scales on top of their carapace. And if you look closely, you'll see that they have lines on them really similar to tree rings. However, those rings do not correspond with exact years. So you can't get a specific age, but you can get a little bit of information about them. So we don't know exactly how old they are. And I'm so sorry, what was the second question?
Julie wanted to know how they get their names.
Oh, good question. So I know that one of our volunteers, Anna, actually named Phoenix. Phoenix got her name just like the phoenix rising from the ashes, since she was in a forest fire. And I actually don't know how Donatella got her name, but I'm assuming that it is a play off of Donatello, who is one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That would have to be my best guess.
Okay, and I'm sorry, our last one, MP was wondering, are there shoebox turtles?
There are not shoebox turtles, but if they got any bigger, they could maybe be moving box turtles? I'm not sure. Right now they're moving box turtles. Well, right. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning for our Zoo to You and getting to see Phoenix on the move and Donatella kind of being a little bit more of a home buddy, and that's okay. We hope that you're able to come visit us at Stone Zoo soon. Thank you all for watching. Bye.